the 4-day work week. That's actually gaining some momentum across the country. California actually been introducing a bill for this. And we're taking a look at that and the rest of our business headlines with a little help from the Executive Vice President of the Commonwealth Foundation and fellow Independent Women's Forum, Jennifer Stefano, and business and markets analyst and Newsmax contributor Seth Denson. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
So a lot of people are liking the sound of this 4-day work thing, and 38 companies and 2,000 employees now testing that 4-day work week. Jennifer, is this a realistic plan?
Well, sure. Look, Henry Ford started all this back in 1926 when he moved his factories from a 6-day work week down to a 5-day work week. And I think it is something that's showing some benefits. In recent studies, there's been increases in well-being and a drop in employee burnout. However, there are significant drawbacks, one of them being that employees feel less engaged and there's been some knocks to productivity.
You know, what about California, who's saying that people who work a 40-hour work week, instead of that, they're saying 32 hours to make it 4 days a week, that they're getting overtime? Seth, do you think that's productive to businesses for them to give this overtime payment and kind of employees getting more money in their income?
Well, I mean, certainly employees getting more money is always a good thing. I'm a big fan of that. The challenge is 40-hour work week versus 32 hours. I know that's what a lot of folks are planning on. I will tell you, our firm is toying with this. We're looking at the idea of what could we do if we did a 4-day work week. And really, it goes back to you want your employees to have a good work-life balance. And in a competitive employment market, you have to do something different than the other guy does. Otherwise, your employees will leave you. Employees will leave you for the same reason they're staying with you. And if it's money, someone will pay them more. You got to give them something that somebody else doesn't have. For that reason, I like this, and I think it could be a movement you start to see throughout the United States.
Yeah, do something to set yourself apart. And Jennifer is right. There are studies saying that a lot of employees like that 4-day work week idea. You know, President Biden, switching gears here, he yet again deferred college loan payments. I think this is the 6th time since 2020. Jen, what does this mean for those paying the money back?
Right. Well, look, if one were cynical or skeptical, they could look at President Biden's poll numbers amongst the 18 to 29 set and see that it's plummeted his favorability down to 12%, and that this is a political ploy. What it does is put an enormous burden on taxpayers. We're already paying billions to subsidize the deferred loans. It could cost upward of $2 trillion on taxpayers if he actually ends them and forgives them. And the problem is this is once again the working class, blue-collar workers subsidizing the wealthy. The majority of the loan debt is concentrated among the wealthy upper class. And the unemployment among that group is less than 2%. They can go out, they can work, they sign the loans. I understand it can be hard, but this is why you're now seeing higher education talk about how much each major is going to make so people can make realistic decisions.
I was wondering who this was going to fall into. So it falls on the taxpayers. And Seth, when it comes to students, should they be waiting to pay off these loans?
Well, I think right now, so I call it moratorium or the deferment is through the end of August. And so, yeah, I think that if I'm advising someone that has student loan debt, remember, student loan debt is one of the few things that is very hard to get bankruptable. So if you ever file bankrupt later down in life, you're probably still going to have your student loan debt. So what I would encourage anybody that's got student loan debts is take those dollars right now through the end of August and apply them to any other debt you have, specifically things like credit card debt, something that has higher interest rates and that is going to vary based on interest rates. So take advantage of this, but I'm with Jennifer. This can't be something that's forgiven. If it is, watch what will happen to college tuitions going forward. When the federal government got involved in backing this, college tuition doubled very quickly. It will go up again if they think the federal government will start forgiving student loan debt.
College tuition is already an insane amount too, so I can't imagine it increasing after this. So supply chain issues, something we've been talking about for weeks now. It's also affecting new parents. Walgreens is actually rationing baby formula. Jen, this seems a little bit scary for new parents. What should they do about worrying about feeding for their infants?
Yeah, there's nothing good that can come from starting to panic people because of all these supply chain disruptions. And what it ends up doing is people start to stock up. They start to mass buy, so like we saw the run on toilet paper with COVID. And again, a lot of these supply chain issues start now with China having shut down from COVID and the lack of workers. This all goes back to a lack of workers, which I will argue goes back to President Biden continuing to defer debt. If you don't have to make those payments today, there's not as much incentive to go back to work. We have to incentivize people to get back in the workforce and to produce goods and services so that we do not have these issues, because we can see how it's impacting the most vulnerable, new parents, our children. It's not good.
Seth Denton and Jennifer Stefano, thank you for the insight there, and we're going to see you again next hour.
Thanks, man.